Hey guys, Rogues Guild here. Just here with another deck profile. We're actually going over the two Lucifer lists that we took to top 8 at GP Charlotte, piloted by Stewart and Steven. They're here to talk about it today. So overall, how was the event, guys?
It was super fun for me. I had a really good time. Met a lot of cool people. Got to re-meet a lot of cool people. So overall, I thought really cool, fun event. So.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same for me. It was just nice seeing everyone again.
So you guys decided to take Lucifer. This doesn't really feel like a control Lucifer, and yet it isn't quite the aggro Lucifer list either, just from kind of looking over it. You've got some of the bigger drops in there, you've got some control spells, yet you also got the Jean package. So what would you actually call this, and why did you choose to go with this?
I think Steven dubbed it mid-rangey, so...
I mean, that was kind of the way... Like a guy was saying this control. I saw on Facebook, and we kind of like it was control originally, but then we found out like, oh, we lose to Gil because none of our big stuff ever sticks.
Right.
So like we need a little more oomph, but we didn't want like the Majin, so we went with Jones. It's like it just kind of
Jones, the Rays.
Yeah, it's just like this little bit of aggro control. You can play control early, and then you can go into a more aggressive later on. So I guess I never know what mid-range is. I'm just like, I guess it is mid-range.
So it was just kind of a nice mix between the two where it allowed you to actually have ample answers in both styles of matchups when you needed to grind or you needed to be the aggressor in that case. Besides the Gil matchup, what other matchups did the Jean package really help you with?
Gil, AU, were there any other ones, Stuart?
Jean is just an insanely impressive card. I think that people usually see her in aggro builds, but she's a really good control card because you got to look at her as sometimes you just need to deal 7 damage to something, and if you use her in a control aspect like that, you're able to just kill something. You know, it's like, hey, I have creatures out, I kill something, and she's doing 7 damage to something. Right. So the deck can be really tempo-y, and really wants to just keep taking control of the tempo in the game, and the Johns really do help that in the middle and the late game. Even just pushing the last bit of damage, Johns help with that. So,
and they do also kind of act as like a lightning rod. They just like they make you kind of like, well, if I don't deal with this now,
it's gonna be a problem.
Probably gonna get worse later on. It's kind of like also with Ray. You got to either put like 1 or 2 resources into it to kill it, I'm like, I want to have a hand full of cards, and I want you to spend 2-3 cards just to kill something.
Right. That's why I would say our deck's like a very tempo control deck oriented type deck. A lot of our cards require multiple answers, and a lot of our cards answer things with 1 card. So,
right. And then I also noticed that most of your other resonators you kind of played as 3 counts. Like you had the Contract Demon as a 3 count, Ray as a 3 count, Skeleton Horde as a 3 count, Blazer and Belial. So was it really just to ensure that you could fit other cards in there, or was it just because you felt that they were lackluster in multiple copies? What was the reason for so many 3 counts in the deck?
Well, the deck actually has a ton of draw power, so that was one of the main reasons why we could lighten up on some of the 2-drops and 1-drops. And then, I wanted to put 4 Blazers and 4 Belials in there, but that's just me, like overkill, you know?
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't want to like draw your hand and go, okay, I'm turn 1, I have Belial and Blazers in my hand, so.
Whew, that's a good opening, man.
like you want to see the cards, but you don't want them all the time.
Right. Yeah.
But to me, it was like I wanted 3 because I'm greedy and I want a lot of cards. I want options.
Yep.
Right.
And Demon Division, with that, not a lot of other people have actually been running Demon. What do you feel for that card in there as a rune? Do you definitely feel it's a worthwhile rune going forward? It allowed you to tech a few cards in there, I see, as a 1 spot, or do you think it's definitely worth keeping in there in the rune deck?
I think Demon Division at this point is probably one of those must-haves in Lucifer. I think no matter what at this point. Like even in the aggro version, I think you have to have a semi-uninteractable way of just searching up what you need. I think that's just super important. Like whether in the aggro you need a March of the Dead, or you need an answer and control like Black Tears of Belial, I think that card's just too good.
Yeah, it was very good against Hanzo, especially with the Jizo statues.
Yeah.
Because either they seal that, you get to just play Black Rosario and kill the statues, or they let you get the Black Tears, and you're like, I'm good.
I did have a player do that. They ceiling scrolled my demon division.
Yeah.
All according to plan.
Yeah.
Just
Well, they had a. It was a really smart play on their part because they did have a pretty wide board, so I wasn't able to get rid of everything.
Fair.
But
And you guys still kept the discard package, I see, with the 4 corruption. You had the 3 glints in there. Now, Embrace of Darkness, that's something we haven't seen in Lucifer in quite a while. So what was the reasoning behind that card?
the format is kind of structured in a way that everyone plays 3 drops or less, or 5 drops or higher. So all your top ends are always like Mosa or Belial's or just a Mistleton or whatever, and everything else is a 3 drop or less, because if you're not playing 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drops, you're probably just going to lose. Mm-hmm. That's just how Force of Will is structured right now. Very in the middle with 3 drops, or always overclassing 4 drops in the format or something like that.
Right.
I'd say the only exception to this is probably Blazer, which made him a really good fit for the deck, because Blazer comes down on 4 and kind of protects himself. So he just seems like a really good 4-drop. Missy is the same thing. It's like she's a really good 4-drop because she can come down and protect herself. But there aren't very many 4-drops in the format that can do that, so nobody plays 4-drops. It's like, why play a bad 4-drop when you can play a good 5-drop or a really good 3-drop on 4 and have mana up for protection or something?
Right. They just get out-curved too easily, or they're just outvalued by the bigger guys, unfortunately. It's not like the days of Marabella and Farah and things like that. We don't have valuable 4-drops anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, I do like the Blazer in there. So what was the reason for Blazer over Shemhaza, since you are running the 3 Belial? Is it just because of the protection, or...?
Yes, protection, and just being a very tempo deck, Blazer requires them to double up removal. Yep. There are certain types of specialty removal that can get rid of it with 1 card, notably Black Rosario or Life or Death Struggle or something like that. But normally it's you're requiring a lot of will and cards to get rid of Blazer. And the fact that he has precision, comes in, rips a card, gets protection, and can remove somebody from combat is just, that card's insane.
How often did precision actually come in handy on him?
Every time.
Really?
Yeah, every time.
Oh wow, so what were you normally swinging into?
So when you're sitting there and your opponent's knows you're playing this control game, and you're kind of they start playing stuff, and they're trying to set up their board, they're trying to get tempo back into their court, and so they're usually sitting there sometimes if they don't have any good swings, you just played a Blazer or just played a card and it's a little bit bigger than theirs, they don't want to trade with you anymore at this point, because their cards are down to nothing. They're top decking, so they don't want to trade with you anymore. So they're just sitting there back and trying to reestablish themselves. They're going to sit there with a Resonator and just maybe try to make good blocks or something like that. And when they're doing that, you just slap a Blazer down. They don't answer the Blazer, and the Blazer just starts picking off their board. And it's you don't have cards. You don't have cards on the board. I'm going to slowly win this game.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's actually really sweet having the 1 of Black Tears in there with the Demon Division. I like the text, the 1 of Black Tears, and then you also have the 1 of Scarlet Vision. So what was that for, and why was that in there?
Gil is very hard to beat. It's a Gil killer card, pretty much.
So because of the discard, were they unable to most of the time have answers in their hand? Were they just not expecting the Scarlet's Vision? Why was it so successful against Gil?
It only worked for me once, and it was only because my opponent didn't see it coming, and they went ahead, they did all their Gil effects, and I'd already seen their hand. They have no counter spells. Okay, cool. Gil's gonna die here. And that was it. I tried to play it against Will, but it didn't work on Will because Will knew about it beforehand.
So Scarlet's Vision does have this surprise factor. It's you don't expect red cards in a black deck, first of all. I mean, you expect some sort of red cards, but you're like Majin Elf maybe. So you has this surprise factor. The fact that it is quick cast, so it's just like on your terms. Like when do I want to play this? There are good times and bad times to play it. I played Gil round 1 in Swiss, and that's how I beat his Gil. Is I did Scarlet's Vision, Blazer, and then I Scarlet's Vision to Joan, and then I played against Will, and I Scarlet's Vision Joan. I think both times I did it to kill his Gil, and it's a really hard matchup because they can, once they flip, they're just searching for counter spells. It's like, oh, you play a quick cast spell, I'm just going to search up a fair spell. So you kind of still have to at that point exhaust their resources. You have to get to them to expend their resources already, like get them to dig up the chance. So maybe you're not playing Scarlet's Vision on turn 4 or 5, you're playing on turn 6 after you like, let me throw down this 2-drop. Does he cancel it? Alright, let me throw down another Jean. And if he cancels that Jean because he searched up a Vanish, then alright, well I already have one Jean. Let's go for it now at this point.
Right.
So you do have to play. It's not like auto win against skill. It's you really do have to play it effectively.
Okay. And as your top end, you had 3 Belial and then also the 3 Blazer. But then in the sideboard, you also had 3 Athenia. So when did those come in, and what did you take out for them?
So Athenia was a really weird sideboard card because we felt like in the control mirror. So when you're playing against like an actual really like a control-oriented Lucifer deck, or maybe even a Lich deck, Athenia is really important because they're probably playing Athenias, and once you start getting Athenia'd yourself, you're just out of the game at that point. So it was really just like in the control mirror, it's like who can, if they resolve a Ruined Earth or Athenia, then you're probably just done for.
It just puts you so far behind, and then they can just keep building off of that. But you also don't have any Ruined Earth in here, so did that actually impact your Lucifer mirrors? Did you regret not having that?
Not having Ruined Earth only impacted the Lucifer control mirrors, which I did play one game, and that was my loss to in Swiss. I mean, he played a deck that was like I believe a really correct meta call, because there were like the top represented deck was Lucifer, and that deck I think just handles Lucifer really well. It's a Lucifer beater. It just out controls all the Lucifer decks, out controls the Lucifer aggro decks. It just annihilates Lucifer. This guy was playing Ruined Earth in his Rune deck, was playing Ruined Earth in his main deck. He was playing Athenia's. It was like Lucifer doesn't get to play today. So it's a really good deck. Unfortunately, it does have like the drawback of like losing to a lot of other matchups because it's so control oriented into beating a particular deck.
Right.
Athenia was also I started it I think twice. For me, I played it against the TSW combo deck, and it was really good there, and it was pretty good against Brunhild.
Okay. So it definitely had some other matchups that was useful. Yeah. And then you had the 3 Grim of the Crimson Moon, which is obviously good for the mirrors, for Brunhild. Is that Sword of the Crescent Moon?
Sword of the New Moon.
Sword, the New Moon? Yeah. Okay, yeah. And then we've got 4 White Leaf. So this was an interesting tech that not a lot of people have been messing around with. And we were kind of testing for a while in Rogue's Guild, just White Leaf to be able to gain some life in the Keurig matchup. How much did that impact your Keurig matchup at the event? Just having the additional life and wasting card advantage at 0 will to ensure that you had a little bit extra life to kind of handle some of the burn Keurig throws at you.
For me, I mean, I think it gave me like one extra turn in the 2 games I had against Keurig. I'm still kind of meh on it because it's like, yeah, I gained some life, but you still have your, if I can't answer your Resonator, it's going to hit me next turn. It was kind of But I mean, beggars can't be chooser. I mean, the matchup against Keurig's already kind of suboptimal, or just kind of meh. So like, just take whatever you can get and do the best you can.
So I didn't have to play any Keurigs, fortunately, and that's because I, wrote on my deck list, please no Keurig, and that works 100% of the time, every time. So if you guys just don't want to play something or someone, Just write that on your deck list. It's guaranteed to happen.
This works out. You heard it here first, Rogues. It works.
It's a cool new trick. Everybody hates him. The only matchup I actually sided it in for was I did play against an IU deck day 2 after I had lost to Sam in top 8. I was like, all right, let me just go ahead and do the 1K and see how far I get. And round 3 I played against IU, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna lose this, and that's fine. This is like IU and Kirik are like the absolute worst matchups for this deck. So I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna lose this, and I'll just win the rest of my games. It's fine. So it sat across from him, and it was like game 1, just absolutely destroyed me. He went second, so he just energized flipped like turn 2, and I was just like, okay, I'm dead. Like I told him that I was like, I don't have a way to kill you like in this deck, like main board, like there's no sword lament, you don't have to worry about anything, just kill me. And then game 2 I was just like, looking at the sideboard, I was like, these were for Kirik, but maybe, just maybe, these would be okay against IU. So I sided in the 4 white leaves, sided in all the Grims, swapped out Lucifer for Lich, because I was like, 5 mana J Ruler, that's never gonna flip, 3 mana J Ruler that might flip, and flip a Grim. Whatever, I don't need Black Rosario. So went into game 2, he opened up really well again. He just like hit the power medicine, everything flipped really early. But I had the white leaves to keep my life up, and then slowly like played John's, and then Scarlet's Vision is IU to kill it. And then game 3, he was kind of he felt like he couldn't attack me, or just like unless he just had it, because he was like afraid of the white leaves just pumping up my lives, and if he went all in on that turn, I would just really punish him. Right, and I never drew a white leaf. I never drew a white leaf the whole game, but I was just sitting there bluffing it like, what you got? And I did draw like my spider's web, so it just kind of kept him off me too, because he wanted to try to ping me a little bit with the IU. So I was able to stabilize a lot and get a Grim and flip my Lich and just have Jean's out for Scarlet's Vision again. So that was like just how I beat it.
Yeah. So was the IU matchup the only matchup that you wanted to bring the Lich in for, or were there other matchups?
Let's see, what other matchup did I bring Lich in for?
I mean, we're bringing it for Gil, right? That'd be the.
I didn't bring it in for Gil.
I did against Will game 2, because Will was just like going super aggressive against me. So I was like, I'll just play this and just jump block with.
Because I wanted to have access to Black Rosario just in case like they resolved a Baby Gil or a Karura or something.
So that's fair.
I didn't want them to feel like they could just play it and it'd be okay. Like if I have Lucifer out, then they're like, okay, we know he still has Black Rosario, so I still gotta kind of play around it.
Okay. But yeah, other than that, it looks like a really sweet list. I enjoy some of the things that you had in there, like the one of Tex. However, there is one difference between the two lists. And one of them we have 4 Astema, the other has 3 Astema, and then 1 Faithful Vampire. I believe, Steven, you were the one that took the 1 Faithful Vampire?
Yes, I want to gain life.
I do too.
You lose so much life playing this deck. Like I'm at the point now, I almost hate Contract Demon. Like it's just, I don't want to take 4 life.
Oh, no. Contract Demon's so good, though.
It's not worth an 8/8 draw a card for 2 will?
I'd almost, if I want to draw cards, I'd rather almost play Blood Spray, but just the fact I could draw, maybe like kill something, maybe like part of me is like I want to play more control-y, but I understand I need to be more aggressive to like get some games. So like Contract Demon does come in handy, but the Faithful Vampire was like, it was so the event. I only played it once, and it was against Hanzo, and at that point the man was dead inside. he had no hand. He was top decking. I'm just like, I'm just gonna play this and just gain some life. Yeah. That was it. Yeah.
And you valued that over the 4th Astema, even though it gains life, it just wasn't enough for you.
Yeah, if I could gain just more than 500, like it was helpful somewhat in the Kirik matchup, but I was at points I was like, I have 5 men, I can't play 2 Astemas. I want to play 2 Astemas, but I can't play 2 Astemas. I just want something better that gains me life. That's right. At this point, that's where I'm at, and I don't know what that is.
So, Stuart, why did you not like the Faithful Vampire?
I like it. I just thought it was a little slow. That was literally the only reason. I just thought it was like the deck is kind of slow, but I thought it was just really slow for 3-drop.
You're obviously not playing on 3. You're playing like turn 4 later. It's just like
right. It's just like, yeah, if I had other options, maybe. I don't know. I value the Astema a lot in the mirror, and then I just value it a lot in every matchup period. So like seeing it more often was really good. Anytime I was playing the mirror, that's like the best card you could have. That's the best card you can draw. You're always demon divisioning for another Astema. You're always spiderwebbing a Astema back in those matchups. It's literally the card that will win you the game. Ask Sam. That's literally how he beat me. Is he Xaxes Astema twice on me for our last 2 games.
Wow.
And that's the card that wins you the game. Your opponent's at 10 life. I just play an Astema and I win. That's just how it goes.
So I do see no soul prisons in the main board or in the sideboard. How do you guys feel about that card? And why wasn't it included going into the event? And then how do you feel after the event, whether you would include it or not?
So, personally, I think Soul Prison just is really slow. It's not quick cast. It's literally slow because it's not quick cast, but then also just slow because it's a 3-mana removal spell. Sure, it nets you extra tempo because you get to steal something, but and it seems like it would be really good against Brunhild. It seems like it'd be really good against the mirror, but in the mirror they also have like Power of Immortality. Or just lots of removal spells, so you just don't really care. You played a 3-mana removal to kill something and take it, and then I can just like Black Rosario to kill your 2 things or something. And then Brunhild, well, everybody's playing like Orphica Air, and it's like they just flicker their dude that you just stole and they just get it back. So you really just didn't kill anything.
Right.
You really just let them trigger another enter effect. That's all you did. So it wastes 3 mana. So it doesn't seem that good in the like Brunhild. It's like it feels like it would be, but then everybody's playing Orphica, so it's like nah.
Yeah, and the same thing with Carrick. It's like I don't have time to play 3 mana against Carrick.
And then they could just play dead it, and then they just get their stuff back anyway before your Soul Prison resolves. So,
and if no one understands how that works, like if you're a turn player and you play Soul Prison on their Resonator, and they respond with play dead. Since you are turn player, your card goes on the stack or chain or whatever you want to call it first, and then their card goes on the stack. So therefore, play dead will resolve before your Soul Prison will resolve. So it's like you 3 mana did nothing.
Yeah.
So
it's the same thing with Power of Immortality. If you Soul Prison one of their dudes, and
Brunhild runs the Eternal rune as well. So it's like there's too many interactions. I can't afford to play 3 will. I'm gonna die next turn if I play 3 will.
Right.
Agreed.
And then you guys chose not to play any March of the Dead in here. Was it just because you had a weaker aggro package than most of the other aggro Lucifers, and so running March of the Dead didn't really feel sufficient? Or was there another reason behind the lack of March of the Dead?
So, you should be playing March of the Dead if you're like playing the aggro version. Like if you're playing 4 Magic Dark Elves with this deck and like the Rays and the Jeans and everything, March of the Dead is perfect. It's fine. Like you should be playing it 100%. We elected to, take out the March of the Deads, take out the Majin Elves to add in more removal and more discard and more top-end threats because we wanted to seal the game in more of a mid-range control fashion than a burst, aggro fashion. March of the Dead is a really good card, though, and it fits perfectly for a deck that's playing Majin Dark Elves.
Okay. For me, it was so generally, like the plan was like usually start the game. You want discard, you want a glint, you want a thought control, you want to play those, and then maybe you want to play some spot removal for the couple turns, just to kind of take control of the board and stuff like that. So you're not really playing creatures probably till like turn 5, 6 maybe, and even then it's probably more your high end Blazers or your Astemas. So at that point, you're not really getting any 2-drops. So at that point, if you draw March of the Dead, it's just a dead card until later on, and you probably don't need much at that point to win if you've got maybe high end if they've got no hand and so forth.
Right. By the time you get to that point in the game, you're already winning, or at least you should be winning. So
correct.
Yeah, it's really just stemming the aggro at the beginning, which is what you guys tailored your deck to be able to do with all the removal and the discard still in there, and then the top end threats to really hit home at the end. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's why we went with the spider web, because it kind of does what March does for us. We can just get more back.
Yeah. And Steven, you took second place in Swiss, and Stuart, you took third, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Awesome job to you guys. And top 8, what happened in top 8? What happened in the first round of top 8?
Carrick. So
See,
I played.
You didn't
I played
title
the guy.
your deck right.
No, okay. So this is the same guy. This is the same Carrick player I played round 1, and I beat him round 1. So by law of tournaments, is I lose to him in Swiss, no matter what. That's just how it works. You beat a person in Swiss, you lose to him in top 8. You can't do anything about it.
I don't remember that happening when you and I played. I don't remember.
Because I just win against you, Joey. That's the way
Apparently.
it works.
So what happened to you, Stuart? What happened in first round of top 8?
Okay, so I think we went into this, and Steven all night was like, "Yeah, you definitely have this matchup, right? You have this matchup, like it's totally like easy for you." And I was like, "Stop saying that over and over and over again, because this is how I literally lose this matchup. It's you saying it
And what matchup
that I'm
was
gonna win." It was Lucifer aggro. He was like, "Oh yeah, our deck totally beats this, right?" I was like, "I mean, yeah, theoretically, it's like." We have the answers. The cards are there, but it's like, they play Stemmas and everything. He plays Stemmas and Blazers too, and I was just like, I mean, his deck's just like a more aggressive version of our deck, less discard, less removal, but more, swiftness stuff, umph. And it's like that early game's like really powerful. So, I went into this and I was like, you know what? I think I just want to rip his hand apart, like turn 1, like every time. So I was like, I'll go second. You go first. As long as he doesn't rip a turn 1 Nullstone Majin Elf on turn 1, I think I'll be okay. Proceeded to do that like every game. Like somehow I was just like, okay, come on, man. I mean, like I look at Corruption Glint turn 1 every game, but he had a Majin Elf like almost like game 1, game 2, he ripped a Nullstone Majin Elf like every time, and I was like, this hurts.
Yeah.
Somehow game 1, like I actually was able to pull it out. And but game 2 and 3, like I was at 10 life. He just was so aggressive, and I was just like, I think game 2, it was either game 2 or 3. I literally had to Nullstone myself to get me down to exactly 10 to playable out, because his board was just huge. Like he just played a bunch of threats, and I just didn't have any removal left to get rid of it, or wasn't drawing any removal. And I was like, this has to happen now. Like I have to Belial now or just die. And then he just, like, oh, let me play this Stemma. And I was like, all right, I'm dead. Like, I'm at 10 life. You lose to a Stemma at 10 life. It's just... Yeah. And then game 3 was really close. And he played in Stemma. And it's just like, all right, here we go. There we go.
All right. Well, either way, though, awesome job to you two. Will we be seeing you at Minnesota?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I will.
Already got the plane ticket and everything ready. Good to go.
Yep.
Moving forward. Oh, go
Joey doesn't know it yet, but I'm gonna ride with Joey.
Moving forward, how do you feel Lucifer is going to be in the meta? What kind of impact do you think he'll have moving forward? If he's going to see a high representation, especially with how well he performed at Charlotte, or do you think people are just going to be tailoring their decks to handle it moving forward?
I have no idea. This meta is weird.
I'm sure people are still going to be playing Lucifer. I'm pretty sure people will be teching to play against Lucifer. There aren't really like a lot of good tech cards. The meta is weird because there's so many builds for so many different decks. Like I played Brunhild, but it wasn't like Brunhild. It was like Diversity Brunhild. I also played like Green-White Brunhild, and it's like there's just so many versions of decks. I played a regular Hanzo with Jesus. I played most of Misty Machine Hanzos or whatever. You just like
it's
never know what
Hanzo,
build.
That's what it is. Diverse Hanzo.
Right. Diverse Hanzo, and I just like you never know what build you're playing. You're like, all right, I'm sitting across Hanzo, but like, what version of this is the deck? There is an advantage.
There's like 3 or 4 Brunhilds. There's like 3 Lucifers now that you guys created the third version of it. Yeah.
It's like you never know what you're fighting against, and I think Lucifer is in a really good point in the meta where it's like very advantageous to see what you're kind of walking into turn 1 with a discard. because then you could shape your entire game plan around it.
Right.
Other decks may not have that advantage. I think Lucifer is in a really good spot. There are ways to really handle a very control type Lucifer. Like Mystery Box is a really good card. Just really good against like decks that are like control counterspell oriented or just like control oriented. Period. Because an uninteractable card that puts a bunch of bodies on the field is just really good. So.
All right. Anything else before we go?
Everyone needs to stop playing Kirik.
I don't think we can all agree to that.
They should go play Pandas or something. I don't know.
Didn't we get a promise from Ryan Miles that he's playing in Minnesota? That's what I heard.
With Kirik or with Pandas?
No, Kirik.
Kirik, for real?
I mean, he played AU at the Maryland ARG. He played Loki here. I guess he could play that. He could play Kirik.
I don't know. We'll see if he does or not. But
He'll top that with Kirik as well. It'll be like, what's the weirdest Kirik we can think of? Like just Dragonoid Kirik?
Mono blue Kirik.
Kirik control. Kirik control.
Kirik control.
Yeah, control Kirik, yeah.
I like it.
I can see it.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time.